At commencements around the country, universities select people to receive honorary degrees and serve as role models for our graduates. Honorary degrees are not simply earned by a course of study or even a course of achievement. They are earned by making significant contributions to our society. We've selected one such outstanding role model for your commencement. To introduce our honorary degree recipient this afternoon, I'd like to ask today's presiding Board of Trustee member, Fred Behrens, to come forward.
Madam President, it gives me great pleasure to introduce James William Buffett, singer, songwriter, and artist. Buffett began his career as a country singer in Nashville, but soon moved to Key West, Florida, where he found creative inspiration in the shrimpers, servicemen, and artists of the Conch Republic. His new home was the catalyst for Margaritaville, the breakthrough hit that will launch a business empire based on an easy living state of mind. Today, Buffett's Margaritaville brand encompasses resorts, restaurants, retail shops, and casinos around the world, as well as beverages, snacks, and a satellite radio station. Madam President, for his prolific contribution to music and entertainment, and for striving to preserve the global environments he so eloquently celebrates in song, it is my pleasure to present Jimmy Buffett for the degree of Doctor of Music, honoris causa.
Welcome, parrot heads. Those are Jimmy Buffett fans for those very few of you not on the Coconut Telegraph. For 40 years, Jimmy Buffett and his band have been delighting sold-out audiences with joy-inspiring tunes about sailors and the sea, island antics, and riding the fickle waves of love and life. A Jimmy Buffett concert is like a carnival where humor and charisma are as much a part of the attraction as the music. Through Singing for Change, the charitable foundation he created in 1995, he supports organizations that are dedicated to positive social change. He donates $1 for each concert ticket sold to this philanthropic organization. Of his 40-plus albums, most have gone gold, platinum, or multi-platinum. He has received 2 Grammy nominations and numerous Country Music Association awards. In 2008, he was inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame, one of the nation's highest songwriting honors. James William Buffett, for your enduring impact on American culture as a gifted... Okay. I know, it's the shoes. James William Buffett, for your enduring impact on American culture as a gifted musician and storyteller, whose songs continue to enhance the quality of life for generations of people, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of the University of Miami, I hereby confer upon you the degree Doctor of Music, honoris causa, and declare that your name shall be forever inscribed upon the enduring roll of our university's honorary sons and daughters. Congratulations. The newest member of the class of 2015, your commencement speaker, Jimmy Buffett.
That's a hard act to follow. I was over there finishing the notes on my pages here, and I'm not trying to be cool. I left my reading glasses in the car, so we'll get started here. It's quite an honor and quite a thrill to be here. I've spent many, many years here on campus and off campus, and it's quite an honor. Thank you, Donna. Good luck in whatever you do. I know you'll be successful. I hope I'm successful today, because that will not bear well for both of us if I am not. To Shelley Berg, a dear friend, and we spend a lot of time together in other kind of places and playing music together. The best music school dean and cocktail hour piano player that I ever know. Yeah. You should see the other side of him sometime. I've got to give a quick shout out to, I had to get speech coaches for this thing, you know, so to my coaches, Carl Hurltz, Maureen Dowd, and Mac McAnally, thank you for listening and editing wisely. And a belated thanks to my dear friend Jerry Jeff Walker. I have to take this opportunity, standing here today, thinking about when he took me into his Coconut Grove house back when I really had nothing and it came to town, not far from this campus, and then convinced me to get with him in a 1947 Packard and drive to Key West, Florida for the very first time. Needless to say, my life took a big and wonderful change towards South Florida, which has a lot to do with why I'm standing here today. Thank you, Jerry Jeff. I also want to thank whoever came up with this cool outfit. It's kind of like a Mardi Gras costume with a purpose. And I am a child of the Mardi Gras. And my daughter, Savannah, a former student here, bought me these great flip-flops to go with it. So it's a long way from that Catholic school uniform I used to have to wear. So the one thing that I know about speeches, and particularly this one, is it will be short. Yeah. Multiply the amount of minutes that are in 2.5 songs, and you're going to get close, all right? Because you have parents to see, friends to tweet, Instagrams to post, and parties to attend before the first, yeah, the parties, okay. Before the first nugget of the new chapter in your life appears in the form of a cardboard box in your room that you will have to fill with the souvenirs and memories of your great times at this great university before you sail out into the ever-elusive future. Remember to pack before the party. You don't want to do it after. I'm sorry that I won't be able to attend any of these celebrations or help you with the packing, but this honor you have bestowed on me affords me not only the opportunity to offer a few thoughts that might be of some help in tackling that ever-elusive future, but also allows me to catch the incoming tide over on Elliott Key and maybe trick an ever-elusive bonefish onto my rod. South Florida has come and been on my song line for a long, long time. When my parents brought my sisters and me here on a vacation from South Alabama many years ago. Parrot Jungle, Flipper, Seaquarium shows, we did them all. Those shows ignited my dreams of being a dolphin trainer, an aspiration that actually stayed with me until high school when thoughts of college came into play. My first choice at that time was to go back to Miami to the University of Miami. I wanted to be a major in marine biology, and I wanted to be Jacques Cousteau with a southern accent. Well, that didn't work out. The closest I got at that point to being a student at the University of Miami was in a strip mall on Ponce de Leon across from the baseball stadium, where in the winter of 1971, I played for the first time ever in the state of Florida for money. Opening for Vince Martin and Fred Meal in the now infamous Flick Coffee House, the present-day home of the Titanic Restaurant and Brewery. Is it good? Is that okay? I'll check it out with you. All right. I lived in Coconut Grove, and I'd never seen anything like it. From the first time I rode my bike to the Grove drugstore, I was umbilically connected to the temperance zone. And it was in those early Grove days that I discovered my Caribbean soul that I could barely control, and Miami always found a home in my heart. This university was a constant backdrop to the dreamscape of my early days in South Florida, changing latitudes and attitudes as I traveled up and down US 1 between work in Miami and home in Key West. Miami started out as a trading post. Now it's the capital of the Caribbean. I started out as a bar singer in Coral Gables, and I got a doctorate degree now. Pink. I like pink, yeah. You have to love that kind of evolutionary process, I think. Sure, some things change and others do remain the same. Back then, before instant gratification was the norm, I made many stops along the overseas highway to get a fresh grouper sandwich and some conch fritters and use a payphone. What? A payphone, yeah. They're as gone as stick shift these days, and I'm probably a thing of the past, but the grouper and the conch fritters are still as good as ever down the overseas highway. And as I look out on this crowd this afternoon, it just reconfirms the words to another song that I wrote, inspired by the geography and the people of this region, that everybody does have a cousin in Miami. And they are all here today. You graduates know that better than we do. So when I got a letter from Donna inviting me to come speak to you, I had to stop and ask myself, about what? It's not my nature to live in the past or to do speeches. I will borrow for things because I've seen a lot and I've done a lot. I've read things and met people who have had a big difference on my life in 67 and a half trips around this sun, and I thought maybe I could share a few of those stories with you. But I'm always looking for what lies ahead. Of course, I've fallen off of a few horses along the way, and stages. There was Australia. There was that Jamaica Mistake thing down there, and that time that I tried to do a somersault in my seaplane in Nantucket Harbor, but I am still here. I don't know why, but maybe that's what you get for being born on Christmas. That could be my best present. But as a sailor, I see graduation as akin to getting off a boat that is taking you on an amazing voyage, where you have had all kinds of adventures, so many that you just can't keep up with the time. And then suddenly, one day, you arrive in the next port full of mysteries to be explored, and the captain reminds you that this is where you get off. So in trying to figure out what my job is here today to earn this degree, I decided to ask some friends more knowledgeable about making speeches than I am for help. The consensus was that I had certainly led an appealing life, and there were things I had seen and done that might be of interest to you students and might provide you with some clues for that scavenger hunt of life that you're about to embark upon. Good advice, I thought. I love to fly, surf, play the guitar, sail, enjoy an occasional cocktail. But in trying to pick a few pearls of wisdom out of that sack full of life experience oysters, the choices were hard. But I was not worried. I had been there before, and I knew somehow it would work out. There's a great scene in a classic Tom Stoppard movie called Shakespeare in Love, where Geoffrey Rush, as the memorable character Philip Henslow, is trying to explain show business, the profession that I stumbled upon right here in Miami, to a potential investor in his play named Hugh Fennyman. He says, "Mr. Fennyman, allow me to explain about the theater business. The natural condition is one of insurmountable obstacles on the road to imminent disaster." Fennyman then asks, "So what do we do?" To which Winslow replies, "Nothing." Strangely enough, it all turns out well. How, a puzzled Fennyman asks. "I don't know," Henslow replies. "It's a mystery." I think Henslow was talking about trusting the universe personally. Because a few weeks ago, I was driving through Key West on a trip to do a show and rehearse at the San Carlos Theater, and I was listening to Radio Margaritaville when the God of commencement speeches came to me and spoke. Well, I might be exaggerating this divine intervention thing, but that is what writers do. So the truth is, the voice belonged not to a deity, but to Alan Jackson. It was he who gave me the answer I was looking for when he twanged from the radio, "What would Jimmy Buffett do?" As I drove down Duval Street, I shouted back at Alan, "I'll make him a checklist." So as a pilot, I know the importance of checklists when you're at the controls of an airplane. I've also found that they work well in other endeavors, whether it is writing a set list for a show, packing my gear for a surf trip, or trying to write a commencement address. So here is your Jimmy Buffett checklist for the ever-elusive future. 1, all things in moderation. This may take a while, but remember this, all right? The road to success is a long, windy road littered with the wreckage of promising careers that have crashed and burned. In my early days, I was riding that magic bus and making up for lost time, having spent the majority of my teenage years in strict parochial schools in Mobile, Alabama. That ride lasted till around the time I hit 40. I was still feeling pretty bulletproof, but I noticed that hangovers were starting to feel like surgical recovery. My first one of those occurred before a show outside Denver. I haven't ever told this story before, so where I'd cashed in way too many fun tickets the night before a show. Somehow, it all worked out, and I made it through the show, but I was mad at myself for not giving the crowd their money's worth. Nobody in the crowd knew, but I sure did. It's not a pretty thing to see talent wasted. It's an even sadder thing to waste it yourself. I knew then that I did not want to be another has-been singer on Behind the Music. That is when I had to reorganize my priorities and remind myself of how lucky I was to call what I do for a living a job. It took a little while, but I got my act together and sailed out of those troubled waters. These days, I am up about the time I used to go to bed. And life is good. Moderation in all things. 2, if you can make your avocation your vocation, your life can be blissful. When I speak at schools all over the country, the question of what it takes to be successful these days always comes up. What I tell students is that I feel there are basically 4 things I think you need to be successful, not just as a performer, but in life in general, in any endeavor. Talent is about 10%. Luck, 20%. Work ethic, 30%, and passion, 40%. Passion is the most important ingredient of all to me. Passion, not profit, should always be your guide toward whatever you see as your place in the world. There are no shortcuts to success. You'll need all of these attributes, but to me, passion is the rudder that steers your quest for success. 3, it is time to see the world. Your college days have come to a close, most of you, and you're going to ask yourself, where's all the time gone? Well, we can't keep time from melting off the clocks, and all I can say about that is use your time well. So now what? The other big question. Answer, I'm not sure, but sometimes it all works out. In May of 1969, when I last wore a cap and gown to my own graduation from the University of Southern Mississippi, my future was just as elusive as yours, maybe even more so. I was broke up to my neck in overdue college loans. My car had died. I had to pay $300 in parking fines to get my degree. And my draft lottery number was 8. As Country Joe McDonald sang back in those days, the next stop over my horizon appeared to be Vietnam. Maybe some of you are looking at similar scenarios. I was thinking that one reason it did turn out well for me was that I wanted to use a good portion of my time to see the world. Stories from my grandfather, a ship captain ignited my curiosity when I was a small child. My wanderlust might be genetic, or I just have a passion for traveling. But it's a given fact that we now live on a very active big round ball. People are traveling more than ever, and the planet has never been more connected. That is the world into which you are going. Millions surf the internet daily, making money, playing games, gathering all kinds of information. To a surfer, that's not really surfing. It's sitting on your ass in front of a computer. Beware of falling into this sedentary trap. It is pretty well accepted that we live in the most influential country on the planet. Yet, only 5% of our nation's 311 million residents have ever left the country. Bruce Chatwin sums it up best to me in his book, Songlines. He writes, "Sluggish and sedentary people, such as the ancient Egyptians, with their concept of an afterlife journey through the field of reeds, project onto the next world the journeys they failed to make in this one. Do not fail to make your journeys. Virtual anything is not real travel to me. Real travel is lighting out into the territory, good for both body and soul. And yes, there are unpredictable, exciting, and even dangerous times, but such is life. But to me, terror is the absence of humor. A real travel, according to one of my favorite travelers, Mark Twain, traveling says that it is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. You now have a degree, and it's not going anywhere. So hang it on the wall and do some traveling. We are nomads by nature. As William Faulkner put it, the last sounds on the worthless earth will be two human beings trying to launch a homemade spaceship and already quarreling about where they're going next. The way I see it these days, it is time to see the world, time to kiss a girl, and time to cross that wide meridian. 4, be Santa Claus when you can. Just being a graduate of this great university makes you a lot luckier than most. Don't ever take this opportunity as something you deserved. Think of it as a gift that you can repay going forward. Be Santa Claus when you can, or as Robert Nesta Marley put it, one love, one heart, let's get together and feel all right. That's your checklist. All things in moderation. If you can make your avocation your vocation, you will live a blissful life. It is time to see the world. Be Santa Claus when you can. In closing, I would just like to say that applause is a big part of my job, and it feels good to hear that collective love hit after a show. But applause today should be from you to you for your job well done. So stand up now and give yourselves a big round of applause. Thank you for the address. Thank you for making me Dr. Buffett, and I'll see you in the bar. Trust the universe and fins up.
Okay, another big hand for Dr. Buffett. Thank you, Jimmy. Your musical wonderland and your passionate dedication to our world inspire all of us. Mr. Provost, will you come forward and present the deans for the conferral of their degrees?